I think it's safe to say that when you look back throughout the entire history of DC films, 2023 will be their worst year at the box office. Even though I'm sure you can pick at some of those over the last 20 or 30 years where they didn't even release a DC movie in theaters. At least they didn't lose money. This year, all they've done is lose. Whether it's Shazam 2, The Flash, Blue Beetle, all of them have been massive losses for Warner Brothers, including The Flash, maybe one of the worst flops they've had in the history of the studio. And there's only one movie left, and that is Aquaman 2. And if the reports that are coming out are any indication, it's going to be yet another disaster for DC at the box office. But we're hearing some interesting things. We had heard, the old reports started surfacing about people walking out of Aquaman 2 test screenings because it was just that bad. But then over the past few days, people thought they had a very specific reason why it was happening. Aquaman 2 scene that made audiences walk out is shockingly dark. And we talked about that in a video a few days ago, that apparently, and this is potential spoilers for Aquaman 2, or at least was in the movie at some point in time, so here you go, fair warning, Aquaman's baby ends up dying at the hands of the villain in the movie, and that was just too dark for some people, and they stood up and walked out of their test screening. There certainly is precedence for that in the comic books back in the 70s, but nonetheless, that's what the report was. Now, it sounds like it might be even worse. Not that it's a super dark scene, not that it's just one thing that turned audiences off, but no, maybe the entire thing was just such dog shit that people hated it. And that actually seems to add up with some of the reports we've had out there for months. My Time to Shine, hello, is a noted scooper, all that stuff. The reason why people walked out of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom was because the movie was, and I quote, boring as hell. This is coming in light of all those rumors about that one specific scene, but he says, no, it's because it was boring as shit. And this lines up with the reports that started coming out back in February of this year. This movie, there's so much chaos. There's been 3 rounds of reshoots, multiple versions of Batman that have come in to film one thing or another that may both be cut at this point in time. And of course, the Amber Heard drama. But this is about the worst thing you want when it comes to the movie. You can deal with all the drama, you can deal with all that shit. But if the movie itself sucks, you're fucked. Aquaman 2 reviews of the test screenings, boring, and one of the worst DCEU movies, report insiders about Jason Momoa, Amber Heard starer. And this leads me to believe that this is more likely the reason this is happening because it lines up specifically with all these rumors that came out, all these reports that came out back in February. According to The Direct, an insider speaking about the Aquaman 2 test screenings expressed, I'll be honest, we're half a dozen test screenings in, and it's not looking great. I've consistently heard over the last half year or so that it's boring, not as good as the first, and potentially one of the worst DCEU movies. Another insider confirmed it. It brings me no joy to back him up and tell you that test screenings for the film have not been good. Really hoping Juan fixes this movie before December. I heard something that almost never happens in test screening happened with this movie. People walked out. They're really going to need to fix this one and fix it fast. This thing sounds like an absolute nightmare. It really does. And with all of the drama surrounding Amber Heard as well, that just continues to bring negativity to it. Now there's new reports out there that Amber Heard, in these leaked court documents from her talking to her therapist, claims that Jason Momoa dressed up as Johnny Depp to torment her on set. I don't know if I believe any of that stuff. It seems like it's tough to verify some of those court documents that people supposedly leaked. But these stories are going to keep happening. I think it's fitting that the last entry in this era of DC is just a complete and total mess because that perfectly describes the last 10 years. Competing visions, executive interference, just mess after mess, and they couldn't figure out which way they wanted to go, and now they're left with a complete and total nightmare. Their last 4 movies have been massive flops at the box office, and if you want to exclude something like The Batman, you can go back even further. Birds of Prey lost money for them. Wonder Woman 1984, The Suicide Squad, all of those massive box office losers. And now we have this coming out around the holidays, and honestly, you know, a movie that is a sequel to a $1.1 billion film. There was a lot higher expectations for that. They have probably invested so much in this movie, all the VFX, all this stuff, multiple rounds of reshoots trying to fix it, and it sounds like it's a boring mess. I guess we'll see in December. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.